Hey guys, what's up? This is Abhay and you're watching Sky Mavic, and I just wanted to show and share a basic video of all about Australian Grand Prix on Formula 1 2019.
It's the Australian Grand Prix. The competition is certainly heating up as we head into today's qualifying. Some impressive times showing up during the previous practice sessions. Anthony Davidson, do you think we can expect a similar level of skill to be showcased during today's qualifier?
Well, I certainly hope so. The competition here is extremely tight, and I think we might see some very close times today. Remember, practice isn't just about fastest lap times though. It's about optimization, it's about ratifying your decisions. No one's going to be sweating small mistakes here and there, but in qualifying that all changes. You need to nail that perfect lap or face the consequences, and believe me, that's a lot of pressure.
So let's get into it. So if we start with the qualifying, I don't know if the setup was good. I was struggling a little bit in practice as well. Didn't get a great speed, but during my qualifying times I was like P5 when I was practicing. Just the setup didn't work this time. My car was a little slow. I'm using Racing Point because I saw a lot of people talking about a full decked up Racing Point, so I said okay, let me do a whole season of Racing Point races and let's see what happens, and maybe, you know, depending on how the results were, with no extra, you know, mods, anything, because I'm playing on the PS4, so it's just pure gameplay and seeing what kind of results I can get. So I go through the whole qualifying lap here, and I managed a P2 in the start, but then I just could see that there was no pace. I didn't manage my tires pretty well as well. I should have done it a little better, so it was not best of my starts to a new season. Whenever I've started Australia, either I've like finished P1 or P2, but P1 was when I tried the whole game like as a beginner, and I was using Ferrari because I'm a big Ferrari fan, and P2 when I became part of Mercedes because I want to try the car. There was so much talk about it in Australia, on YouTube and other places, that, you know, especially races like Australia, you find the Mercedes a little bit faster. So this time I just said, okay, let me just try Racing Point. It's got, you know, Mercedes engine that way, and, you know, just because I'm not Lance Stroll, why not, you know? So take a seat with Sergio Perez being my teammate and try it out. So as you can see, guys, it's a tough call. It says P3 right now, but eventually I would, you know, just struggle with the pace, not go that well. It was just not the best setup. I just couldn't set up the car the right way on this one. I even tried a couple of things, but those were even worse. So eventually I struggled a little bit, especially on this corner, you know, the second last corner. It's just the car didn't stop. So then I figured it out, okay, maybe I just didn't have the right tire pressure or didn't have good amount of rear stiffness, you know, and eventually I finished in P8. I came in to change my tires, didn't have that much time, so just P8 was it for me, and I said okay, no worries, we can always start. So here how the race went.
They say that even a second is an eternity in Formula One, so going 4 winter months with no racing at all has seemed a very long time indeed. We're back though in Melbourne, home of the Australian Grand Prix since 1996. So here we are at Albert Park Circuit. 3.3 miles of public roads, closed for the weekend of course, make for a bumpy surface with little undulation. There are 16 corners around the lake, with the best passing opportunities coming at turn 1 and turn 3. I'm joined today in the commentary box, as I will be throughout this season, by a great racing driver, former F1 competitor, former world champion, and as he tells me all too often, an all-round top chap. It's the one and only Anthony Davidson. And tell me, here we are, first Grand Prix of the season, first time racing these cars. What are the big questions that need to be answered here, in your view?
Oh, thanks, Crofty. It's a real privilege to be here, and I can't wait to see what's in store for us this season. Now, to answer your question, one of the biggest things is reliability. Formula One cars are full of very sophisticated but also very sensitive technology, and this first Grand Prix of the season is going to push them to the limits. So the most important thing today is to stay out of trouble, get to the end of the race and keep everything in good condition.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The fence starts from pole position and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Weber, Verstappen, Devon Butler and Sainz, Adams, Perez, Magnussen and Daniel Kvyat, Raikkonen, Albon, Daniel Ricciardo and Leclerc, Stroll, Vettel. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Pierre Gasly and Lando Norris, Hulkenberg and George Russell ends our grid line.
So here we go, 5 red lights and we start. So didn't have the best starts as usual. I've seen this difficulty when you have automatic starts, you're doing automatic gearbox. It's just all the other cars are much faster. Go from the outside, almost clipped the Haas. Didn't have that great. Again, touch a little bit with the Williams right on the right side. Now, a little late braking there. You know, had a little bit of issue with the video there too, but yeah, there we go. Try to manage not to get any kind of damage through it. A little bit hitting the curb inside, going through it. Didn't manage it that great of a start, but then I eventually try to get close to Magnussen right there. So keeping at it, pushing it through. Let's see if we can get through. Had decently good pace, honestly. Like, you know, eventually I picked up. Felt like maybe the differential was a little off, so I set the differential a little lower. Started with 60%, went down. Sometimes it does get confusing for beginners and beginners like me who are just new to kind of the whole franchise. It's my first time playing Formula One games, so with the PS4, you know, I see a lot of people playing from computers, so they have a different perspective. But you know, being a beginner, and that's why I wanted to do videos like this, that just for beginners, understanding how we can get into a better mode. So you know, like as I said, I was seriously struggling on the second last corner to stop the car, even with having good pace in it. So Valtteri puts in a really good lap, and he's very strong in Australia. I've never seen him like finish out a P3 in my career per se. I've never had issues, and so we've been behind Butler, and then I think we got a yellow flag there. Yes, my teammate Perez had some mechanical issue. Go inside, get really close to Butler, and didn't get that overtake now, so can't overtake anymore. So try to save as much fuel, guys. You know, if you have the safety car on, which I personally feel just give you a much better feel of, you know, reality when you have safety cars and virtual safety cars. I personally feel, you know, that's my choice of having the safety car on. You can save fuel, you can save ERS, you can get some battery charge there, so it just becomes a touch more easier to manage. So as you can see, I've got 100%, save enough fuel there, and now we're starting the race again.
Green flag.
Let's see. So I try to push as much as I can, but the other guys also have saved up enough battery and fuel, and you can see as a beginner you always have a little struggle with tires, so just try to make sure you can learn how to manage the tires. You know, having the braking set, of course, you know, what can you do with your braking? Do you go hard brake or do you go soft? There's trail braking, then there's clicks. I personally feel, you know, if you have too many times you're pressing the brake a little too much on your gamepad, it just depends on how much pressure you have and how the car reacts depending on how much downforce you have too. So just be careful about that and just try to save as much tires, because Australia, I'm doing 50% of the race. The tires just, it's painful. So skipping it through, getting really close to Sainz and Magnussen here, and I've got really good pace. I've pushed through a lot of them. I'm still on the old tires, so I'm just trying to use as much as I can. So eventually get close to Magnussen, but then he pretty much pits, and now I'm at P3, right behind Verstappen, but he's way further away. We're going through a one pit stop strategy, so it's just me trying to save as much, you know, of my tires as possible, and I get as close as possible to Verstappen, but you know they're just too far. I'm struggling, but then I come into the pits pretty much, you know, as fast as I could. This is lap 12, so gonna go on the mediums. The good part of having most of the assist on, and you know, for beginners per se, you know, getting the right speed eventually inside the pits I've seen is a little hard, and you can get penalties really fast. So even this kind of, you know, just wasting time sometimes of the cars coming in, but that's how close you can get. But 2.2 seconds is pretty good, and get a decent out. So I'm P8 now, right behind Magnussen, because he pitted a lap before me. So but now I have enough tires to take care of it. Eventually get close to Magnussen after 2 laps. So this is lap 17. Just trying to do it. You know, the setup is not that good, so my car's not fast, but what I figured out is I can actually get pace in sector 2, and sector 3 is just my slowest. So sector 1 and sector 2 were my fastest, so most of my opportunities are going to be sector 2 and sector 3. So I tried as much as I could to get as close to the cars in sector 2 and sector 1, and sector 3 was okay. Just be close, because all the DRS zones come on sector 1. There are 2 of them there, so, and you know, just make as much use of it. So as you can see right now, just making use of the first DRS zone, finishing lap 18 going to 19. So you know, right there, got close to him enough to the DRS zone. Now I can I yes, I get the overtake from the outside, go a little bit wide, but almost without any kind of damage through it. Just make sure, guys, and especially for the beginners, if you just started playing the game, just make sure that you have enough of space. Give the other driver, give the AI driver pretty much as much space as you can, and just go out without any damage. That's going to be the most important thing for you guys, because if you have issues overtaking and you get damage, you need to go to the pits, or of course you could flashback it, but you know, just to get the experience the right way, I personally feel eventually you need to learn how to not use any kind of flashback or instant replays. Of course it's good to see how you did it, you know, sometimes you want to see that overtake again, and that's nothing wrong with it. So Magnussen keeps trying to get back in, and so unfortunately Bottas is P4 right now, I'm P5, so not a bad place to be at lap 25. Tires are done, as you can see. It's not a great position, but I'm just pushing because Magnussen's right behind me. He's got like passed it in 2019. They had a really good Australian Grand Prix, and that's pretty much, I think they're kind of emulating in this kind of a game, you know, just try to, he's really pushing me, sometimes gets a little closer, especially in sector 3 right now. He's most of the times gets DRS on me, but I'm just trying to defend, and eventually this is my season 3 on the game, so I'm still new, and I use a different kind of controls. I use the side buttons on the left side of the control pad to turn the car. I don't use the joystick. That's kind of my way of doing it, because I'm more comfortable doing it. Joystick just never is been my way of driving a car. It's always been button based, so I feel a little more comfortable. This is, as I said, you know, this is totally automatic gearbox, so I'm not doing much, and I'm just trying to break the slipstream for Magnussen so that he doesn't stick that much behind and comes as close as he can. Again, I'm trying to do the same thing here, just making sure that I, you know, just don't give him enough slipstream so he comes closer. Sometimes you will always miss out. Try to defend, you may miss out your braking points. Just make sure of that. So in the assist, guys, I'm very low on the braking assist. Most of my assists are, you know, just a pit stop and starting and gear change. So I just got less assist. I've switched on the telemetrics just to see which the right way, but I've now started just doing the corners rather than the whole lap. So that's been my this season's goal, is to get away from that, just to use corners, and eventually I'm going to put out videos with the next races without using the total track and just using corners as just for the, you know, helping me when to brake and when to not, and eventually I'm going to go without, like, you know, all these more experienced drivers on the games do that. So for me right now, I'm training myself to get out of automatic gearbox. Just people saying short shifting till the 4th gear gave me a lot of timing, and if you can see Magnussen right away trying to come and try to take me. So this whole race I've just been trying not to get overtaken and just finish as close to P5, you know, again trying to just break his slipstream a little bit. Eventually get used to it. It's more fun, you know, just to make it as realistic as possible. You can always start the game with 2 great teams or 3 great teams. You know, you can always start your game. If you like Max, you want to be with him in Red Bull. If you like Charles or Seb, you want to be in the Ferrari. And if you like Hamilton or you're a Bottas fan, you know, it is inevitable. And most of the guys I've seen on YouTube and other places are really going with the work car. You know, Mercedes is, they say, is the fastest now with the new updates. I personally feel if you want to create a good essence of the game, try to go with teams which are in the midfield, because you get to more chances of overtaking. It's more fun. It's more fun to get a podium, guys. You know, it's just so much fun. Like, you know, defending a car which is not fast, but you know, you're defending it against an AI. So I'm on 90% difficulty now. From my season 1, I started like at 60, 65. Now I'm in 90. So this is not a 100% AI race, guys, and you know, that's, I'm just trying to be as honest as possible here. So you know, it's just so much fun eventually to get to 100%. There are some races I go 100%, like Bahrain. That's a very strong race for me, and that's pretty much the next video I'm going to be posting very soon. And once I get done with it, and so the whole idea of me putting out is for beginners. If you need any help, you can put it on comments. I'll surely get back to you as early as possible. How to start the game, how to understand it, how to learn tricks and tips, you know, basically, which you can understand, and how you can just put it in your game if you're on the PS4. And even if you're not, if you're on a different console or on the PC, it's pretty much the same eventually. If you use a wheel, of course, there's so many different things if you start using a wheel, and I'm going to pretty much make a that's next on my page, you know, just to try the wheel again. So I'm just going to set up something very soon, and so I can get a little bit more experience with the wheel. And I've heard it's just much better for, especially for the gear shift, to become on more on manual, because with the gamepad sometimes, you know, you have too much to do, especially with the ERS, and if there's a car behind you, you're just so much manipulating the ERS and the fuel. And if you don't use the joystick, you know, most of the buttons are used, because the left and right are for turning up and down. I use it for the multifunction display, the NFT, and you know, so for me, just getting used to how many changes I have to make sometimes, especially with the ERS and the fuel, it just makes it so much fun. So as we are on the lap 28, I've talked about everything else except the race right now, but here. So I've got Magnussen pretty close to me. I've got decent amount of ERS left, and I've got enough fuel because of the safety car, so I can straight away just keep it on the rich mode. There'll be many times Jeff will just give you some, who's your engineer, just gonna give you some kind of stupid or just non-relevant information, or just some strategy. Sometimes just eventually you have to gain experience to understand what kind of strategy you want to play. I've had following the strategy the game gives you, and never worked out, you know. I've lost races from like you know, and that's what happened to me. Another race I'm just gonna put very soon on YouTube, and you guys can see that, you know, I was winning the race, and I want, you know, it's just gonna be Bahrain, and I've just finished the race, and you know, started P1, and you know how you can finish without just making a wrong tire decision, or just sticking to a strategy, and things just change at that time. So especially during rain, you know, when the rain's going out or not. So here also, you know, I personally feel like one stop is good, but you know, if you don't have good tire management, especially if you're in a team where tires just burn out really fast, you may have some issues. So pretty much the final lap, final corner, sector 3, you know, don't have enough, it says don't have enough fuel. Lewis wins the race. It's a decent start to the season, just try to get a P5, finish everything, just keep Magnussen at bay, you know, just keep him behind as much as I can. And final corner, which I've struggled more, so that's why a little early braking so that I don't go wide, keeping up defense here, and you know, just finish the race. It was a great finish, finishing P5 from P8, you know, 3 steps above. So thank you guys for watching. I surely put down more. If you have any questions where I can help you, please let me know. And just to support the channel, please like the video and subscribe so you get more of my videos. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.
So Mercedes have won it, and what a great race it was. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on the track was today: speed. I know it sounds like an obvious thing to say, Crofty, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.